How do you discipline a 14-year-old black boy?
Boy.
Huh? He's done something wrong. What is your go-to technique? Are you a shouter? Are you, I'm taking your phone? What do you result?
His phone's been taken away from him.
Okay. Does that have an impact?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he enjoys reading books.
Okay.
So you take away the phone and he will just sit down and just read a book.
If that motivates the reading, then yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So and
To my beautiful girls, your smiles warm my heart. You turn bad days into good evenings. I promise to listen, to share, to guide, to provide, to protect, to love. All that is mine is yours. This is Stories by Emeka, the Fatherhood series.
Yes, Stefan. Long time indeed.
long time.
How have you been?
I've been good. See, got the lockdown. Father again.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I've been all right, and obviously work as well is good. I can't complain. Just enjoying each day, man.
You know, the funny thing is like I was thinking the other day, I'm like, next year is literally 20 years since we left school. Like, where has the time gone?
I just, and the thing is, like, we've still watched each other grow at the same time.
Yeah.
Whether it's been in person or not catching up as much, but obviously we still got each other on socials and everything else, and kind of like, I don't think our circle of friends, basically our year group, is still kind of like a close-knit year group still. We still got
pockets of group of people who are still in contact with each other.
Yeah, and I think it's a beautiful thing at the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's no one's got any animosity with each other. We could just, I feel like if we was to just all meet up again, it would just be like
20 years ago. That's exactly what I was saying.
School.
Literally, when I meet up with Shane and Love, and that's exactly the kind of vibe it is. It's like nothing has changed.
Yeah.
It's just that, just add on the years.
Literally, like we've got older, and then
families, fatherhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we're here to talk about and play some golf. So I want to draw your attention to our leaderboard.
Yeah.
So I've had a few guests on here. So Nick is currently got 195 yards. All right, so that's your target. See if you can beat that. On the right hand side, as you can see, I'm on 205.
Okay.
So depending on where your flavor is, so this is your minimum target, and if you feel like you're up for it, 205, and then we'll see what we got.
I always enjoy a challenge.
Yes. All right, so the machine says that I'm up first. Yo, let's make sure that if I've beaten any world records, let's get that on camera.
Actually, let's not.
But yeah, in terms of fatherhood, let me first ask you the first three things that comes to your head in terms of how you would describe yourself as a father, while I take my shots.
What I've learned as well, I can say that, because fatherhood you're learning every single day. Every single day.
Yeah.
I feel listening,
okay.
now that I've got a, let's just say, full-blown teenager.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna dive into that.
That listening part is key right about now, not
Yeah.
only for my development, but for his as well.
Yeah.
Security.
Yeah.
Now I got the little one as well.
Yeah.
Obviously for both of them, and just being fun.
Fun. Okay. All right. So listening, security, and just being fun. All right. Let us know how old are your kids?
So my eldest, he just turned 14 last month.
14.
14. Yes, 14.
That's you're raising a full-grown man at this point.
Literally, and give him a couple more years, he's gonna be taller than me as well.
He's that's my money's on getting taller than you. Definitely.
Oh no, like, the thing is, everyone's gonna be taller than me anyway, so that's not an issue to me. But he still knows I'm the dad. So
14.
14.
So So when did you start then? How old were you? I can't remember. Because you was one of the first ones to have to jump on this fatherhood journey.
Yeah, well, yeah, because out of us guys, yeah. So I was 20, turning 21.
Yeah. So literally just about 4 years after school.
Roughly, yeah. Well, if you put yeah. So yeah, it was a complete shock.
Yeah.
Would I change it? No. You grow up.
Mm-hmm.
You grow up because you're responsible for another life.
Yeah.
And absolute blessing.
Yeah.
Absolute blessing.
So in terms of, because that period, it's like, I think we were all only just finding our feet in terms of just finished school. Some of just are finishing college. People are now heading off to uni or working and so on and so forth. To now dive into fatherhood. When you first got the news, what was going through your head? Did you feel ready? Did you feel like, I don't know what I've got myself into? Like what was the thought process?
To be fair, I don't think you could ever be ready.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's you can prepare yourself.
Yeah.
But to be fully ready, I don't think that can actually happen until the baby's actually here.
Yeah.
And then you more or less know. Then for me it was I've got this big responsibility now where I've got to provide. And that was more or less the first thing that came into my head.
Yeah.
I've got this person that's going to be coming into the world that I've got to provide for, that I've got to look after, that I've got to protect, and more or less be the best man I can and be the best father towards him.
Yeah.
So it was a shock.
Mm-hmm.
It was a shock.
Was you in a relationship at the time?
Yeah, we was in a relationship at the time.
Yeah.
So, but again, we were still early 20s.
Yeah.
When it happened. But yeah, I was in a relationship. He came about.
Mm-hmm.
I was there.
Yeah. How did you feel that moment of, wow, this is a real life human being that's just been created?
It was. Do you know what? It was magical. Literally, that's one word I could put it. And just even. Like, it's easy for us because we're not there. We're not pushing out this child.
Yeah.
But seeing like the process and what she had to go through and everything else, and then just this little bundle of joy just come out, and then when you see your child, it's just like boom, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like just everything around you, just like you're in your own little bubble. You're in your own little world now, and then you know this little person right in front of you. They're relying on you for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And. Yeah.
You're up. I've got 164 at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, pick your weapon. So that's I can't even imagine at 20 that amount of responsibility. What was your support network in regards to sort of becoming a father that early? Did you have a support network? How did your parents take it, family take it, in regards to, you know, having your whole life ahead of you, but now you have this responsibility that potentially, you know, not entirely ready for?
Yeah. Well, I think with any, say, grandparent, being that young, having that child at such a young age, obviously your parents always want the best for you. Mm-hmm. They always want you to obviously do uni, get your job and everything else, but then obviously
traditional route, isn't it?
Yeah. And then obviously even some marriage, and then think about the kids and everything else. But obviously we all know sometimes life doesn't work that way.
Yeah. A lot of the time life doesn't work that way, you know.
But it was like I said, we both had a good support network.
Yeah.
Which was good. So obviously I had my mum, my dad as well. My grandparents.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, like we had a good support system.
Okay.
With my eldest and her parents as well.
Yeah.
And her sisters. So yeah. We literally had a good support system, and to be fair, we still do as well, even at the age he's at. So, and we try to obviously bring him up either way that he's got a lot of love around him.
Yeah.
So either way, he's got that support system around him as well. So we've had it, but now he's got it at the same time.
Okay.
And that includes friends that have been around me for 20 plus years as well.
Yeah.
And obviously they've watched him grow. So, yeah.
In regards to your daughter, so there's a huge age gap.
Yeah.
So with your daughter, that's now sort of within a marriage framework.
Yes.
So yeah, how would you compare sort of the differences? How old is your daughter, by the way?
She will be turning 2
in
a week time.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a huge age gap, and obviously with you sort of becoming a father for the second time, but this time in your 30s, what would you say is sort of the stark differences with both experiences? That might be your best one so far.
Yeah. Like people
Maybe you should have had breakfast today, Stefan, because at this rate, I don't think you might be beating any of my records. You know.
Do you know what? I probably won't.
Maybe you should have had some of that hard food before you came out.
Do you know? I still got some in the fridge as well. You know. Should have prepared myself a little bit more.
Well, yeah, that's your best one so far. That's 81. Yeah. But yeah, the differences between two experiences. Obviously, one at the early 20s, and then your second within marriage. Because I remember you mentioned security as one of your words as well. So I feel like in your 30s, that and being in your profession, that offers that security element. Okay, all right. See, my words have motivated you. I like that. And that's definitely 100 plus. You beat Obi, sorry.
Yeah, getting there.
Right. So you beat Bola, you beat Obi. Let's see if you can get the 186.
It's the main question I get asked as well. What is it like raising a boy and a girl?
Yeah.
And I do feel there is a bit of a difference.
Do you feel overprotective of your daughter already?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Like I've even asked other fathers, like, what's it like raising a girl?
Yeah.
And it's just not saying you're not protective over your boy as like your son as well, but it's just that little bit more, because it's like, you know how guys operate.
Yeah.
And then she's gonna go into that world, and then as she's getting older, she will have these guys coming up to her and thinking, like, I've been there.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of know. So even now, like, yeah, she's only just she'll be turning 2.
Yeah.
But there's just that more of a like protection of her.
Do you feel more secure in yourself as a father now, in terms of, it's like, due to experience of obviously raising a 14-year-old boy, you've gone through so many different ups and downs, and you've probably learned more about yourself during those experiences.
Yeah, 100%.
I think you might be up again, but yeah, go on, carry on. Yeah, it's you again.
Yeah, 100%. Like I always say as well, and I say it to my son when I see him. It's like, I say I'm learning off him every day as well.
Yeah.
Because he is literally now his own man. He has his own thoughts.
Yeah.
He does his own thinking.
Yeah.
But obviously, kind of, as they're getting old, from when they're born, when you're raising them, you're kind of doing the thinking and the providing for them. Now he's doing the thinking for himself.
Yeah.
So the only thing, it switches now from you doing the thinking, where now you're more or less providing information and then supporting them at the same time. So when I say every day I'm learning off him. Every day I'm learning off him, because I'm learning what type of man he's going to become.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've got to still, what I was shown, implement it on him and kind of what I want for him. And and the things I say to him as well, I say, be better than me.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say, be better than me.
Yeah.
Because he can do whatever he wants. He could just push your boundaries. Nothing will stop you from doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And again, I think because I've got a good support network of males around me as well, I try to keep them around good males that have like had an influence on my life as well, and that can talk to him.
Okay.
That can talk to him and guide him as well. Because sometimes it could be where he might not want to hear it from me.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Because there's only so much.
Yeah, because sometimes it feels like they become numb to our voices.
Yeah.
You're saying the same thing potentially over and over again, and all of a sudden they can't hear you anymore, isn't it?
And that is it. And that is it. So sometimes I'll be like, all right then, do you know what? If it's not me, speak to your godfather.
Yeah.
And then that's a different male voice.
Yeah.
Different reasoning where he knows Dad's not badgering on me and it's like,
that's powerful, because some people don't even have one male voice, more or less, having a support network of different males, you know what I mean, grandfathers, uncles, godfathers who can be those extra voices. Because you know when they talk about the village often, and I feel like sometimes that village can feel wanting because it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, for many people, those people who are willing to have an input when things are going wrong, because yes, sometimes the parents can't do it all. We need that support. You know. 136, you're getting closer.
Yeah, like obviously that saying as well. Sometimes it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And like you hear it as you're growing up as well.
Yeah. Not fully taking it in until you get to a certain age.
And then like it doesn't matter if you're Caribbean or African, like you still hear it on both spectrums as well. Yeah. And it's only like again when you become a parent and then when you start getting that support system, you're like, okay, I know the actual meaning for it now. And so again, he's at that age where because I've got a good support system, it's gone down to him as well. And like I said, I've got good male figures around that can actually speak to him. And if I can't give him the advice, I would, out of my male friends, see who can speak to him about this, and he can go to them. He could even call them up as well. He's got their numbers. So, and I think that's one of the good things as well.
So who would you say is, in terms of looking at framework of fatherhood, people that you have kind of looked at and modeled how you want to be as a father? So this could be fictional, this could be obviously the influences you have around you already. So people that you look at, you say, you know what, this is how I want to do it. Or you can also look at it from the other perspective of seeing other fathers that have been incompetent in how they've raised their children and say, you know what, that's a model that I definitely don't want to use.
You know, I'd probably say one film that would probably, this probably be a good example where a dad will do anything for his kid. John Q.
Yes. I knew you was gonna. Hey, Denzel, come on.
John Q. That film.
Listen, on, hey.
Some people might not like his acting, but sometimes when there's a powerful kind of message behind it.
That's a great film. If you haven't seen that film, you need to go on.
Listen, watch it. Yeah. That right there is a man that was willing to do everything and anything for his child, no matter what. Take him out, he doesn't care. As long as his child lives, that is it. And I think, obviously, us even growing up as well, like we've seen it all. And obviously, another thing that has always been said as well, no parent should bury their child. That is one thing. And that film, I haven't watched it in ages, but that film.
So that's one of the things that comes to mind.
Yeah, because like I said, he was ready to die for his child, and I think any parent will be willing to do the same. So, so that would be like a positive figure that will come to it. A dad that you wouldn't want to be. Actually, probably another one. I don't know. Would it be kind of positive, but not?
Yeah.
And Lawrence Fishburne in Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood. Okay. Yeah. Right. What's your thinking around that?
So he knows his son can do better.
Yeah.
He knows his son can do better. But just because of where they live, he knows he can stray. So at the same time where he's trying to work, going to work as well, but then he's still got his son in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
And then it's always that, what if?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And again, he's just trying to guide him.
Yeah.
But sometimes, as he puts it, the street life just gets caught up.
Yeah.
But then obviously, he's trying to encourage him at the same time.
Yeah.
And then trying to look out for him. But obviously when his boy gets shot.
Yeah.
And then obviously he comes back, gets the gun, he's going out.
Yeah, that's a powerful scene. I remember that scene.
Yeah. And then he's like, he wasn't screaming or shouting at him.
Yeah.
He was just literally like, what are you gonna do with that?
Do you know what? The thing about that scene that's powerful for me is, it's like a lot of the groundwork has been done before that scene, if that makes sense. Everything he's spoken to him about, and for those that remember the film, is even after that moment, he jumped out the window.
Yeah.
And then the powerful thing about that is that he didn't chase after him, because there's still that hope and trust in everything that you have put in place up until this point.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously he eventually asked to be let out of the car, which is now that decision making, you know, which stems from obviously those conversations with his father as well. So yeah, definitely agree. That's another powerful sort of fatherhood framework to look at. What about if we're bringing it to sort of more towards reality in terms of real life sort of personnel that you might look at and say, you know what, this is a good model to use or to look at?
Well, one, I always look back on, okay, hey, you really want to stay at the top.
You know what, don't be deceived by the height sometimes. It's like, this might not be going as far.
I will always look back on, like my granddad had a big impact with, like I say, raising me as well.
Yeah.
And then my dad at the same time. And you kind of model yourself. You do model yourself on your parents at the same time.
Yeah. Because that's the first thing you see, isn't it? Growing up, isn't it?
And that's and then it's how they interact with you.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to just, it's nurtured in you.
Yeah.
It's literally nurtured in you. So for me, I would literally say it would be my granddad and my dad.
Okay.
Who brought me up and just kept me level-headed at the same time. Obviously my mum's obviously she raised me as a single parent.
Yeah.
Had a full factor in there, but I still had my granddad and my dad around at the same time.
Yeah.
But
going to that point, which is sort of going to segue we to the point of you and your son, because with your son, so that's from a previous relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
So at what point did that relationship sort of come to an end? How old was he?
He was around about 2.5.
Yeah.
3.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, not all relationships work.
Yeah.
But just because we the relationship ended, doesn't mean my relationship with my son broke down. So we were still, like, for me it was, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be, again, like you say, well, like one of these dads that I'm not going to be around. Like, I still want him to, as he's grown up, know that my presence is still there. And I think that is, again, it's important for his development, that he knows there's still a father in the picture.
So, obviously, you said you was raised by your mum, sort of in a single parent household, but you still had contact with your dad, and your granddad was still involved. At the point when your relationship broke down, knowing that you now have a son and that he's going to now experience what you experienced, did you have any sort of concerns around that? And how did that impact you growing up, knowing that you were a child of somebody that was co-parented, if that makes sense, and now you now have to do that as a parent yourself? Well,
like you never want that for your kids, no matter what. So for me, and I think this is kind of why I always say, like, do better. Because, like, I never wanted him to go through that. So it was just thinking of what can I do? What can I do to make myself better? What do I need to learn? And to be fair as well, like I've had a conversation with my dad. Like, what can I do? And it was probably like a learning experience for him as well, because I was coming to him now as a father, and asking kind of like for guidance and just some advice, literally. What can I do? And he was like, said, obviously not all relationships work. Try doing this, try doing that. Oh, okay, try doing that. Because the first thing is as well, you want to have a positive relationship with the mother. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. But then, again, you learn over the years, as you get older, sometimes you just kind of like the arguing and the fighting stops, and you realise, you know what, it's not even worth it. So looking at it from your perspective, you as a son first, having to go to your dad every so often, however often it was frequent. So would you say that affected you in any way? Sort of, because the research always tells us that the best outcome for a child is for mum and dad to be in the same household. To be able to raise the child from the same, sing from the same hymn sheet. Obviously, the next best thing is if there is a broken down relationship like that there is that co-parenting has to be conducive, where there is compromise, there is good communication, and both parents have access to the child. So from your perspective, how was that for you? Did you feel like you were missing out? Did you feel like it affected you in any way when you became an adult? And did any of those kind of fears and anxieties now pass on to you now as a father, knowing that your son will have to go through that same experience that you went through? From my experience, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because again, I had a good support system around me, and I think that's key. When you do have a good support system around you, even for myself, you kind of don't feel singled out. Also, like you'll hear some people say, "Oh yeah, I've gone on holiday with my parents and done this and I've done that." Sometimes like, okay, yeah, that's nice. But then
it must be nice.
Yeah, it must be nice. But then sometimes you'll hear somewhere be like, "Oh, mum and dad are arguing again and this and that." So sometimes having both parents around is a beautiful thing, because who doesn't want to grow up with both parents in the same household? But then sometimes that could even be more toxic at the same time, just due to everything and anything. Have I missed out? No, because I've got a good relationship with my dad.
Okay.
And
so he did what he was supposed to do, even within the situation. So that's okay.
Like he might not have been in the same household, but he was still a father to me, and he still is. He still is now.
That's a beautiful thing.
And even now, up until this point, the relationship we have is like I wouldn't change it. And
So I guess in essence, because of what he was able to do in those circumstances, must have given you some comfort knowing that even though your relationship is broken up, that you can offer you can mirror directly what he's done to your son and still have that kind of relationship.
Yeah, and 100%. And obviously with it being his first grandchild as well.
Yeah.
So it's like he's got that extra love to give as well.
Yeah.
So not only does he want to be more around me, because he doesn't live in London, but then obviously he's got his grandson as well. And even now the relationship that they're building right back now is like, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
But it's good. And like one thing that my dad does do as well, when he checks in on all of us, he literally starts from me being the oldest, so he starts from me, then calls my brother, then calls my sister, and then obviously he's got my other 3 siblings with him in the same household. But he checks on us, with us being with the eldest, and it just mirrors down. But then even with that, the relationship I have with my siblings as well. We like when we catch up and we talk, like, have you spoken to dad? Oh, you need to chat to dad. So it's like, so I do feel, again, the relationship that we have didn't make me worry of the dad that I would be. But it showed me that I can do a lot, and how to provide, and just again how to support and be that security blanket for my child. So
no, that's powerful, because you had a model, and a lot of people don't have that model to follow on from. So if we're going into sort of the practicalities of how you are now able to sort of co-parent with your previous partner, how did you guys make it work? Were you in a good place? Were you amicable? Was it difficult at the start? And how did you eventually sort of get it right? Or did you get it right?
Well, I think as he's got older and becoming more of himself, I think we've kind of had to not change our ways, but
did you ever live together?
Yeah, we did.
You did?
We did.
Okay.
So during the relationship, we did live together.
Yeah.
So that's where obviously like he would have seen, he would have had the 2 parents in the same household.
Yeah.
So he would have seen that. It was obviously difficult at first.
Yeah.
When we went our separate ways. And then obviously doing the co-parenting again was a bit, you could say, a bit of a struggle. I think it's more the co-parenting now, because he's at the age that he is.
Yeah.
It's I'd probably say it's not harder, but it is completely different from when he was.
Because he's a lot more independent, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And he's growing up.
Yeah.
He's becoming his own man. He's thinking for himself. But obviously, again, there's only so much you can do when you're not in the same house.
Yeah.
So, we've had discussions, like sometimes with his behaviour, what he's done at school, and then sometimes, like, you always hear that saying, like, talk to your child. Like, you need to talk to him, and
when they do bad, that's your child.
Literally, yeah. You know it's hit a nerve when, like, now they fully become your child.
Yeah.
But I think we're like right now we're in a good place.
Yeah.
We're in a good place. But again, like, it hasn't been
always been
easy.
That way. Yeah. But overall, in regards to sort of co-parenting, how are you both sort of? How did you both navigate it in those early periods when you first sort of broke up? Did you have a plan in place, or was it, as the buzzword is these days, was it a toxic environment? How was it for you?
It was all right.
Yeah.
It was good. Obviously, we're both of us working. Obviously you had to find stability at the same time. But the thing is, we had our parents around. So if my mum wasn't looking after him, her mum was. And then we had him in nursery as well. Mm-hmm. So it kind of, we were good. We tried, obviously, we tried our best to keep the peace between ourselves, and then obviously just to raise our little boy. Yeah. We were both new to it, and we had our moments. But we never did it in front of him, and I think that was kind of a key thing. Obviously, you try not to argue, fight in front of your child and everything else, and I think we kind of kept that away from him. So
that's strike two, by the way.
So tried to keep that away from him. I think it got a little worse when I got into a new relationship, like a more serious one. Then these things happen, and I think it was at that point as well. That's where I turned to my dad and asked him for advice.
So being in a new relationship now affected your relationship with your previous partner, which now affected the co-parenting situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then it would look like that I wasn't doing enough for him or spending
enough
time with him.
But did you feel like that, or did he feel like that?
I would say no, because of kind of the arrangement we had already in place.
So you didn't sort of deviate too much away from that?
No, it was always one of these. If I've got him on that weekend, I've got him on that weekend. We try to not switch weekends around. Just at the drop of the hat. So I kind of still try to structure my life around him. But it was difficult. Obviously, I think anybody could say that, just going into a new relationship. And then obviously you got a child from a previous. It kind of, I think everyone will feel like you are taking the focus away from the child, but then obviously at the same time you're still trying to maintain the relationship you're trying to build with, you could say, your new partner.
So from your perspective, do you feel like, because we learn so much in school, or there's so much we don't learn in school at the same time, do you feel like sort of building relationships should be something that should be more discussed? I'm not sure about talking about within the curriculum, but in terms of outside of our parents, sometimes you don't even get that from your parents, but in terms of building relationships, because often the outcome can be having children. And if we don't know how to navigate through building and sustaining sort of relationships, then the outcome can then be obviously a child who now is grown up in a dysfunctional situation that is not his or her fault, if that makes sense. So what more can we do to avoid that breakdown in the original relationship in which a child is conceived? Or do you think it's inevitable that sometimes things just don't work out?
I think the main thing that you always need, I think even just learning this as you're getting older, communication. They always say communication is key. You might not be on the same page, but you still communicated it with each other. And I think it can be learned in school. Because at the same time, it's setting you up for the real world. Because even when you go to school, you're in a bubble. It's kind of you're in a safe space. You're there to learn, but it's preparing. Well, especially secondary school, it's preparing you for the real world. Because once you leave secondary school, you have the choice whether to go to college or sixth form, whichever you want to do. And then from there, you're building your communication skills and relationships. You're building different relationships because you might have been with these people for 5 years in the same environment, the same little, you could say, the same little bubble. Now you're going into the real world and you're meeting different people from, you can even say like more different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And then you're having to kind of work with them at the same time, but now you're more independent.
Yeah.
So I think it could be taught.
Mm-hmm.
It could be taught in a way. How would they do it? I couldn't give you the answer for that.
Yeah. Obviously, the how is a different question. It's just whether it's a need that we feel like we need to think about. But sort of shifting the conversation a bit in terms of your son. All right, we grew up in Hackney.
Yeah. Notorious.
Was he also growing up in Hackney?
He's still there.
Okay, so going back, because you brought up Lawrence Fishbone's character in Boys in the Hood, and I've got girls, all right, and then it feels like there's always something to worry about as parents. And one of the things that I would be worrying about if I had a son sort of growing up in London is the state of violence for young people in general.
Yeah.
And we cannot ignore the fact that sometimes that might be disproportionate, especially with young black men, young black boys. Whether they're in too deep within the culture of gangs or whatever it may be, or even if they're not, because we now know that 14-year-old schoolboys that carry knives and have nothing to do with gangs or anything like that, but they feel like that's what they need in order to protect themselves or to attack someone that might have made them look bad on social media, whatever reasons that young people have these days. So we've grown up in Hackney. We went to a school that was often violent because of racial components. Your perspective, you're raising a young black boy who's now 14 at the height of some of the age of these things are happening. What are some of your concerns? What are the things that you have put in place? What kind of conversations have you had? Have you turned into Lawrence Fishbone? Like, talk to me, because I'm sure there are many fathers out there who, you know, are our age now, who are on the way to having teenage boys that might be worried in terms of every time they step out of the house, you know, even if their heads are not on any type of negativity. Another thing that I often think about is, back in the day, if somebody would say to us, if somebody punches you, make sure you know how to defend yourself.
Yeah.
That could be a death sentence to a young person these days in regards to you tell a young person to defend themselves, the person who's trying to defend themselves cannot fight back or has a blade and then does something with that. So it's like, is that advice still valid in 2022? So I guess my overall question is, how are you coping with that, raising a young black boy in the UK in London?
I would say it's scary. It's
I don't have a son and I'm scared. You know?
It's scary. It's so scary. I'll say this as well, and even just going back, I feel even when we was growing up, like obviously the school that we went to as well, but I feel even with us, obviously the guys that we know and the guys obviously like grown up with, like we did our thing. Yeah. We did our thing. Like we mucked around. We were sometimes the loud people at the back of the bus and everything else. But I feel our circle of friends at school, like we never put ourselves out there to cause trouble. Yeah. We were just our own guys. Yeah. Just
having fun.
Having fun. Like there'll be a group of us, but you see a group of us and we'll just be laughing and just mucking around with each other. Not going to be hooded up and like we're looking for someone. Yeah. And I feel that's kind of at the same time as well why you can say our relationship as us guys growing up is still going, because none of us ever went out looking for trouble. And the thing is, it's the thing that is scary as well. We had less than what the kids have today. Like,
but isn't that part of the dangers in terms of they have access to so much?
That as well. Like with us, obviously, if we were going out, and you could say, we was sitting in the blocks, but we're just chilling. We're going out, we're playing football, we're doing this, we're doing that. So even though back then our parents would be like, oh, okay, just make sure, who are you with? And I think one thing I'll say as well, our parents knew all of our friends.
Yeah.
And I think that was key as well. They knew every single person that you was going to be with.
Yeah.
And yeah, was it scary when we were growing up? Of course, because then you could get away with a few fist fights.
Yeah.
But then we knew, right, again, don't go to Fellows.
Yeah.
Don't go to Kingsmead. Don't go to Hoxton and everything else. But we would know some that lived there.
Yeah.
But it's one of these ones, if you don't put yourself out there obviously trouble will find someone. But if you don't put yourself out there, you could get away with it.
Yeah.
And then with us, yeah, knife crime was ridiculous back then. And I feel like as the years have gone on, it's like you could say the youngers are trying to outdo their elders. Yeah. And then it's just it is a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
But
from your perspective as a father, what conversations are you having? Are you yet to have those conversations?
I've had a few conversations with him.
Yeah. Is he aware? I'm sure he's aware of what's happening, but you know, sometimes people are aware, but they're still sort of oblivious to the realities.
I think with him, we've tried to raise him in the right way. Yeah. And one thing that we do say as well, you are a young black man living in Hackney. Like, and this is where I come back to it as well. Like I say, I want you to do better than me. Like he knows what he wants to do. Okay. He's got the plan in his head. Yeah. And the only thing I could do is just more or less push him and focus on it to do it. Because he said he wants to do electrical engineering. Okay. And I will just keep pushing him to do it. And I was like, right, so you need your maths, you need your science. Well, you need all your grades, but to do that, you need these as well. Yeah. This is what's gonna push you onto it.
I think that's a key thing. That's an important thing as well, in terms of having that fundamentals of a purpose. Yeah. He's working towards something, isn't it? And
the only thing I could do is just keep pushing him, keep him on that straight line. Yeah. Because we've seen, we've heard, obviously the amount of stabbings and the young kids, and they're just over stupid reasons. And it's heartbreaking when you read these stories and you think like what was the worth? Like it's not one life is gone, it's two. Yeah. Because obviously that person has died, but then now you're in prison for more or less the rest of your life. You've literally just thrown your life away. And then for what reason? Yeah. So it's scary. Yeah.
With you mentioned friends. Do you know his circle of friends? Are you involved? Are you engaged? Are you engaged in school? How things are happening?
I've spoken to a couple of his friends when he's chatting to them online. I haven't seen him in person. Yeah.
Do you think that's important to do? There's a vetting that happens, like subconsciously. I remember it's like growing up, a lot of parents, like I was that individual that was good with parents. Yeah. You know, and so if we wanted to go out, sometimes my name would be name dropped as a Mecca goer, and that's the responsible person that would make sure nothing happens. And so, like you said, we kind of grew up knowing that all the parents kind of knew all of us, and so parents are able to hear conversations, see the mannerisms in terms of how you approach coming into the house to greet them and stuff like that, because all of those things kind of give them it eases sort of that anxiety of, okay, my son is with somebody that is level-headed, or they come from a good home. Do you think you need to do that to replicate that kind of model that our parents had?
I do feel I could do better. Yeah. But it's obviously times have changed so much where, like I say, we was always going out. Yeah. We was always going out. We always had like a motive. We always going to the cinemas. We always going ice skating. We'll just go and play football. I think now kids are now just stuck on online. Online, okay. So it's you'll hear the name, but you won't see the face. Okay. So it's like, it's now they don't need to go to the person's house to play or anything
It's
else.
true. When we used to play pro, I need to see the person
So
that playing.
I'm sitting right next to you. Like the control pad is plugged in. Like you've got that much of a space between you and the control pad. Now you could be sitting in the other room or standing by the wall playing it from like 30 yards away.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I could probably say I could do more when it comes to his friends.
Yeah, because I think the friend situation is important, because it gives you that peace of mind that if you know the parents, that's a bonus. But if you know the young people themselves, it's like you can now, similar to if we're going back to Lawrence Fishbone in terms of that character, he wasn't just a father figure for his son, but he was dropping bombs in terms of knowledge to the friends as well, and so. They understood what his father was about. Ultimately, his responsibility is his son, but he felt like he was now like a father to all those young men. But yeah, in terms of that it's there's a young boy just in Croydon, sort of not too far from where I live, in terms of 14 years old. That's the same age as your son, and it's like that. So you haven't even lived yet, and God knows what the parents are going through within these situations. It's like, what do you think we can do to alleviate this mentality and this sort of violent culture that's within our community that we can't deny? Some people like to, to be oblivious to it, but we can't play the victims anymore. We can't continue to blame. We need to take responsibility and start taking practical steps in regards to. Starting from the home in terms of the parenting aspect of it, and then obviously we can then discuss all the other things that are outside the home as well.
I do feel like they do say everything starts from home. Yeah. But it gets to it where obviously you're technically away from your child for say 10 hours a day. Yeah. If you're working as well. Mm-hmm. They're going to school. So obviously you do your best at home. Yeah. You would always do your best at home. But then obviously I feel like you're saying as well, like you do vet the friends at the same time. And I feel with us, we was good. Yeah. Like you could literally just roll up to my house, knock on the door, you see mum will greet you, mum knows what you like. Yeah. You could go to any of our other friends, just knock on the door and they'd be like, oh yeah. And then they might not even be in, but then because of they've seen us and how we've all interacted with each other, we could literally just sit in the house and, if we're lucky, even get a plate of food. Yeah. But I don't think the kids today kind of have that. Yeah. They don't.
Well, whose responsibility is that? Isn't it our responsibility? Or has technology kind of made things difficult for us to be able to do
Technology's taken over. Yeah. It literally has. And I think even you could say for us adults as well. Yeah. Like some of the stuff that you see online, there's only so much you can have control over. Mm-hmm. You do your best to keep it under control because you still want to be their safety net and obviously be their security blanket at the same time. But they can walk out and see something. Yeah. And now it's obviously like we've seen it where if a fight's happening, like some people would jump in to try and break it up. Yeah. Now you'll see at least 10 people standing on the signs recording it. Yeah. But I noticed that fear now, if you was to jump in to try and stop the fight, then it becomes a you problem, and then it might be the worst outcome for you.
Yeah, because we've all heard that story, read that story many times. The Good Samaritan ends up being killed. Yeah. And a lot of the times people don't want to be that victim. That tried to support somebody else, to try to help somebody else by putting themselves in danger. But I feel like there's a lot of work to be done. I think a lot of organisations are doing great work. A lot of parents are doing some great work. Not everyone is on the same page in regards to how we are raising our children to have strong values within society. One of the biggest influences is the culture that we have within our community, and a lot of that stems around popular culture and music as well.
Yeah.
What music does your son listen to? And are you now cautious? Are you worried about the influence that music could potentially have on his mindset and just his age group in general?
I think with him, he's very I can say, like, he's with him, he keeps himself to himself.
Okay.
Which is I'm kind of happy with that.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, because I know he's not like going out there on the madness.
Yeah.
Like he likes to keep himself to himself.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Mm-hmm.
For music, for him, I think he listens to music, but I think he listens to kind of like everything and anything.
Yeah.
He's not like that much of a music fan or something. He's more into like watching YouTube videos of people playing games.
Okay.
And like he does kind of like creates his own games as well.
Yeah.
So when it comes to music, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
For me, I'm always playing old school in the house.
Yeah.
So he kind of has no choice but to listen to that. So like, he's always listened to like 80s and 90s music.
Yeah.
So.
But just in general, in regards to looking at the wider community, do you feel like music has a negative impact on the mindset of some of these young people that end up in criminality and end up doing some of these atrocities on the streets?
The thing is, sometimes you can't even blame the music.
Yeah.
It's a person is their own person. They're going to do what they're going to do anyway.
Yeah.
And I feel sometimes when they start pinning it on music, it's obviously then they start blaming the artist.
Yeah.
Obviously, like for us, again, when we was growing up, we had old school R&B. Mm-hmm. We just had all R&B, and then obviously we had the hip hop and then the rap.
Which was a lot of it was very violent as well.
It was.
You know?
It was, and just listen to half of the lyrics half of the time as well. Like it was motivated to other people, but and then obviously we had garage, and then obviously that just popped off.
Yeah.
And then obviously now for this generation they've got drill.
Yeah.
And I feel as you get older, parents at the same time need to learn what music is out, what genre is out as well, just to understand what's going on. And to a certain degree listen to some of these artists and kind of see what words, lyrics they're putting out.
Yeah.
For us, half of the time it's just the beat that we like. Having an influence in the community, it probably could because of the area, say that that particular artist is from.
Yeah.
And then they kind of say you want to like rep the ends from here. It could have a negative effect, but at the same time, you just still kind of need to find a way to keep your child grounded.
Yeah.
And just say you can listen to the music, but it's not the be all end all.
Yeah.
You still need to go out there and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that has lacked and somehow should come back is the youth clubs. And I feel that's where communities are broken down.
Yeah.
Because even with us, we had youth clubs to go to. We had so many youth clubs to go to, and I think with them closing down, one of my dreams would be to open up a youth club because it's a safe space.
Yeah.
It's a safe space. It's a safe space for young kids to, again, come from different areas, come together and just enjoy, just to a certain degree, just enjoy being a kid.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing and what you need to do. Just enjoy being a kid.
Take away that fear and just be a child.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter how, because you're going to become an adult, but you don't need to grow up so quick.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like when you hear these boys hitting like year 7, year 8s with knives in their bags going to school, like who you like literally who you more or less running from, and like You're 11 years old. You've literally just come from primary school.
That's
like,
they're just modeling behavior, isn't it?
and that's the thing.
You know,
And
where is that coming from? So is that coming from the music? Is that coming from the people that they've seen in their areas? But it's coming from somewhere. To know that this is how I settle a score. We know boys will be boys. We know there's always going to be conflict. Trying to take away that life fact is, you know, bordering delusional. You know, because boys, there's always going to be conflict, but it's how we manage and teach young men from a young age how to deal with conflict. And unfortunately, through some of the popular culture, through some of the music, through whatever it may be, the influence in their area, whatever it may be, but then there is this notion of 11, 12-year-olds going to a school with a knife where normally, you know, they might just have a little dust up and then that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just how that conflict is resolved. But that's no longer the case because these young people, it's like they don't understand that once that knife goes into somebody, that could be the end.
Then but the question is, at what age do we start teaching them to be men?
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's getting younger and younger at the same time. It's like for us, again, we was just still kids in school. Like we was enjoying.
Yeah.
But it's now, like I said, it's worrying. Like I've got my 14-year-old, so it's like I'm having to teach him from now.
Yeah.
Because there's probably guys younger than him walking around with knives. And the thing is, half of the time, you don't even know how old these boys are because the food that they're eating now, they're hitting like 6 foot plus. So it's like.
And then one of my biggest worries is like, you're doing what you're supposed to do as a father.
Yeah.
Your son is level-headed, he has a plan, he has an ambition, and he's working hard towards that. But then there's other children out there who have been failed by many systems, by maybe the lack of parenting at home, the absenteeism of their father, or even sometimes you might have the father present, but is emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
There is no one paying attention to what you are doing. Or we're talking about exclusion rates in school. So there's so many conversations to be had in regards to how some of these young people end up the way that they end up. But if you're doing everything you're supposed to do, and then your son engages somehow with one of these other young people, you know, that's what I'm worried about, because you've done what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
There's so many young boys out there that have been innocent, that have not been involved in anything, that have been victims to the streets. And then it's like, if we're not all doing the work together, sometimes it's almost as if is it enough for me to just be doing what I'm doing at home?
Yeah. Sometimes like you're guilty by association.
Yeah.
I do, obviously, like it stems from yourself, and again, you do your best to raise your child.
Yeah.
And I could just keep pushing and just.
Yeah.
The thing, again, like I said, it's communication. Like, message him, chat to him, all the time. And the thing is, I always ask. Again, the main question is, how was school?
Yeah.
What happened at school? Sometimes he'll leave some stuff out, but I've already heard it from his mum.
Yeah.
And then, but it's one of these ones where I want him to bring it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, make a scene.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like still has to be. He needs to be comfortable to tell me.
Yeah.
But one thing that I always say to him as well is like, it's like I'm fishing for it, but I'm not punching it out of him. So I'm asking him, like, again, how was your day? Is there something that you need to tell me? What happened at school? This and that. Yeah. Just to, again, give him that security where he can sit down, open up, and then just say it.
How do you discipline a 14-year-old black boy?
Boy.
Huh? He's done something wrong. What is your go-to technique? Are you a shouter? Are you, I'm taking your phone? What do you result?
His phone's been taken away from him.
Okay. Does that have an impact?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he enjoys reading books.
Okay.
So you take away the phone and he will just sit down and just read a book.
If that motivates the reading, then why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then this is where the co-parenting comes into place as well. So if he's done something when he's at his mum's, it gets implemented when he's at mine as well.
Love that.
So,
I love that.
So just because
you can't play you off each other, or none of that.
Just because you're going from one house to the next, like the kind of the rules still apply, and I think that's where the values come into play as well, as you were saying, because it needs to mirror, and it's a situation now, obviously with my soon-to-be 2-year-old. That's her older brother, so it's like what we're doing there, we want to mirror it so that she sees. Just because he's doing it doesn't mean that you can as well. And it's just finding that balance. Disciplining him. It's the shouting's gone out of the window. There's no point in doing that anymore because it doesn't work.
He's numb to it.
It doesn't work. And I think it's just sitting down and a solid conversation. Communication. Literally, it is. And I think that is key. And it's one of these ones where he's done some stuff, and I've had many conversations with him. And I've just literally just sat down with him and just spoken to him. Like we've even gone out of the house, gone for a drive. Like just literally just sat down, just parked up and just spoke it out. Just literally just spoke about it, because
I like that.
There's only so much shouting you can do. Obviously you can take away all the essential stuff. It does have an effect, because it's like, I just want to jump on the game and do this and do that, because again you're taking it away from them communicating with their friends as well at the same time. But it's so that happens, and I'm like, right, okay, even sometimes I'm like, right, you ain't using your phone, do something else. But the thing, and then he enjoys drawing as well. So I just say, like, he finds other things to do.
Which is good. It takes away that mind-numbing, unlimited scrolling, and
literally just have your mind open to everything, because
everything else.
Like again, like the world's his oyster at the same time, and even when he's with me, like we go for walks, and luckily we've got a big lake near us, so we just go for a walk. So I take both of them out for a walk, let wife have a little bit of a me time, and then we just literally go for a walk. And
love that.
So that's it's going to get harder, because now he's now in the formidable teenage years, and it's only going to get
more challenging times. But like you said, you have that village, you have that support network. So that will help you. So just for my final question before we sort of bring it to a close, what does success look like for you as a parent, for your son as well as your 2-year-old daughter?
For my son, it would definitely, what I'm looking forward to is seeing the man that he will become. It's like we've set the foundations. His mum, myself, my wife as well, because she's been a part of his life for the past 10 years as well.
That's a good.
So she's say more or less like kind of raised him at the same time as well. And
that can't be overlooked as well. That's an important role.
And she's had an influence on him as well. Sometimes there's been times where he won't tell me stuff, but he would speak to her.
That's good.
And I love that relationship that they have, because again, you wouldn't kind of getting into a new relationship, you still want that person to kind of have some form of communication with your son, because again, you kind of need to keep both of them happy at the same time.
And with your daughter?
He loves the bones off her. She loves the bones off him as well. Watching them two just run around the house, and it's a nice thing, even though it's such a big age gap. There's been times where he'll be sitting down and she'll just literally just climb all over him, sit on his shoulders on the sofa while they're watching a film. And I just look at them, I'm thinking, wow, like they're mine.
Proud dad.
Literally,
proud dad
and I just take a step back and be like, oh yeah, do you know what? Sort of out. But no, for me, watching him grow to become the man that he will become, and do everything that he wants to do, be successful. Yeah, and I can only just keep guiding him in the right direction and still be that support system for him.
Yeah.
Again, if he needs anything, come to me, speak to me, and I will keep just pumping that in his head. If there's one thing I'll keep pumping in his head is, talk to me. If you need anything, talk to me. What the situation is, talk to me. I won't have the full solution for it, but I can guide you.
Yeah.
And then, and then I'll just be a proud dad. Just obviously trying to do my best to raise this young man. And then with my daughter, geez. Oh, she's a character anyway. Yeah. She's a character.
But anyway, you're still at the beginning of that journey anyway.
Yeah, so it's
a long way to go.
Yeah, but watching her and the character that she is right now, I've got my hands full.
Yeah.
I know I've got my hands full.
Stefan?
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, man.
Your range today.
146.
I think that was your highest.
Yeah, 146, 147, one of them.
Well, let's go with 147. So yeah, you're third on our leaderboard. You know, so
I'll take that.
Lee's still there. Dr. Nick, 186 yesterday. Then you're next on 147. OB, then Bola, and then nobody's still touched me yet.
No, the king is still out there.
My brother, love as always, man.
Always, man. Thank you.
Nice one.